Hey everybody, Jake here from Bearded Gear, and I have a first impressions to do for you on the Medford 187 DP. I think in my unboxing I kept calling it a 187 DPT. I don't know where I got the T from. I don't know if that's even a real thing at Medford. I'm not a Medford guy. This is the first Medford I've ever held for more than a minute. I'd held one or two at knife shows, and that's been it. This was loaned to me by my buddy Kyle. Why can't I talk? Loaned to me by my buddy Kyle from DTOM Knives and Gear. As always, when Kyle loans me a piece of gear that I'm reviewing, I'm going to be linking down below to his YouTube and his Instagram. He's on Instagram now as well. So if you don't subscribe to him on YouTube, please do. He's awesome. He makes knife videos. You'll love them if you like me. And his Instagram is great as well. He's promoting his YouTube content there. He's posting knife pictures there. Super nice guy. He's new to Instagram. Show him some support. And it's super generous of him to loan me gear. I've loaned him some gear as well, but I'm coming to realize he's loaned me way more than I've loaned him. So I need to loan him a bunch of gear. I'm not keeping up with his generosity. So there's going to be knives coming your way, Kyle. Don't worry. This is a DLT exclusive 187 DP. And I don't know enough about Medfords to tell you what's special about it, what's different about it. My knowledge of Medfords has typically been that they make the Praetorian and some other things. And all of the other things that I've seen that I haven't cared to learn the names of also look very big and thick and not like something that's really my speed or style. I mentioned in my unboxing when I was first kind of getting into the hobby of knives, and even before I was in the hobby of it, but just like saw cool pictures online sometimes of knives. When I saw Praetorians, I thought they looked really cool. It was like, wow, it's such a wide, really cool looking blade, and just looks like so overbuilt, and all those things are true. It's a very wide blade, and it's very overbuilt. But as I got more and more into knives and started trying more and more stuff, I learned more and more over time that I don't really like much of the things that they're doing at Medford personally, and that's fine. I don't have to be Medford's audience. They can have a totally different clientele base who has different tastes than me, and that's fine. There's a reason why they seem to be alive and well and thriving in the knife community, although lately there's been some controversy I've been hearing about, but I don't follow any of it. So if you want to talk about that, this isn't the place either. I'm just checking out a knife here. Anyway, this is my first time being hands-on with one. If you watched my unboxing, you'll probably see I pretty immediately was like, oh, I don't think this is for me. And I pretty much knew before I even got it that it wasn't going to be. So did Kyle. He was open about that when sending it, that he couldn't really see being a knife that was my style or speed. And he was right. I don't like this knife. I just don't. I'm going to cut with it a little bit. I've done very limited cutting with it so far. I put it through a little bit of cardboard just to see how the edge did. The edge is very sharp. The hollow grind is pretty good. But Kyle said I can go ahead and test this and do what I would normally do with it, even though it's a very expensive, very nice knife. So I'm going to carry it a couple of times. I haven't, if I'm being honest, had it in pocket for more than like an hour so far. The other day, the day that I opened it, I had it in pocket and then pretty quickly swapped it for something else. It's stupid thick this way. It's not thin this way. It's long. This is a really long knife, and it's heavy. It is really, really heavy. And some knives, like my ZT308, which I'm in the process of reviewing right now as well, that's a very heavy knife, but it's also a very big knife. This is big too. They're both big knives, but that one, it like actually fits in my hand and doesn't feel uncomfortable to hold and use. It is shaped in a way that it's somewhat comfortable in pocket, and this just feels like, I don't know, it feels like I'm carrying a cinder block. I don't know. I don't know much of what to say about this knife that's positive, other than I think Medford is, if this is their formula, and from what I can see, this is their formula, and there is a person out there who likes this formula, they're doing it well. Because like the edge on the blade is done pretty well. The hollow grind is done very well. The heat treat, from what I've heard that they accomplish there, is done very well. The finishing, although I'm not usually a big like flame anno kind of guy, it's done very well. The anodization on this side is done very well. All of these pieces seem to be, what I would say, to be fair, is kind of well made. Although to me, even though everything's even, this just kind of feels like 3 basic slabs of metal that have had some washers and a pivot put through them, and then some spacers and a clip. There's no real like design behind this knife. And if you disagree, let me know. But even lately, I've been noticing that I've been really appreciating knives that have simplicity over complicated design. But this feels, I don't want to be mean, and there's a lot of words coming to my mind for how simple this is, but it feels more dumb than simple. And I apologize if that makes Greg Medford mad, but this is just one of the most basic knives I've ever seen in terms of its construction. Like, there's a little bit of milling here inside the lock bar. There's, obviously it's a frame lock, so there's the cut that's been done internally there so that the lock bar can travel. We've got a what looks to be a ceramic detent ball set in there. No stainless steel interface, it's just titanium, which I've heard arguments for. We have a clip that's a milled piece of titanium, and everything's done evenly. There's no like, oh wow, that looks off. Like, everything is done fine. We've got jimping here that's way more aggressive than I would ever want to be on any knife, let alone a folding knife. I don't. It's like sharp, aggressive jimping. It's exactly what I don't like in jimping, and it's here, and it's here. Luckily, it's not everywhere else, but it's just pretty simple slabs of titanium with some jimping cut in them, a cut here, a little cut there, and then it's screwed together with some standoffs. And then we've got a ridiculously thick slab of 3V, which is ground fairly well. But like, when I look at this knife, I don't think simple. I think like it's had some steps skipped. I don't know, because a lot of the really simple designs that I've been liking lately, let me try to think of a good example of a really simple knife that I like. The Giant Mouse Ace Grand, which I just got, feels very simple in its construction. It's not over-designed. They haven't put any unnecessary flair on it. The handle shape is ergonomic, and it's pretty neutral, and it's simple. It's micarta, but they've still rounded it. They've still nested liners inside of it. The blade is a fairly simple shape. There's nothing crazy going on. There's no ridiculous waves or recurves or anything like that. But it's a nice rounded spine, and it's got a good grind on it with a good edge. And they haven't, my point with simple knives is not that they're like dumbed down to just be 2 slabs and a blade. It's that they've, instead of adding additional features and taking knives too far in design, they've stopped where it's sensible. And this, to me, just, it feels slapped together. And it's not that it feels low quality in the sense that these materials aren't good or that it won't functionally perform. It's that I don't see the design of this knife. The Praetorian seems more designed to me, but I haven't held one in hand. I did at the knife show, I did, but I don't recall getting in depth with it like I'm trying to with this one. And I don't know, maybe there's another model that I should be trying from Medford. And if there is, I'm open to trying it. I'm not going to spend my own money on it, but I don't really see the argument for the construction of this knife. It just seems basic. Like, and I really don't want to sound like I'm just being mean for no reason, but the way I kind of think of it is, if I were just starting out making knives and I had pretty basic, like a mill and the ability to heat treat, like, I don't see what about this knife is so complex that it couldn't be made in someone's garage. And I don't think that's like that out of line for me to say. I don't know. I feel like I'm being way meaner than I should be to this knife. And I also feel bad because it's Kyle's knife that he spent a lot of money on. But I mean, it's just, what here is so hard to do that this knife is pretty freaking expensive. These are not inexpensive knives. And it just feels like a heavy brick of like, it's very functional as being a bruiser of a knife, I guess. If you've got bigger hands than mine, you might find these ergos better, but I don't like these ergos at all. I don't know. It's lost on me a little bit. We'll see. Maybe after a few more days with it, doing a little more cutting with it, I'll see the light and I'll think, wow, now I get it. Now I understand why it's not like even 2 slabs in a blade. It's 3 slabs. The blade is a slab. It's like 3 slabs screwed together, and I don't find the action that fun. I don't find anything about this knife overly compelling. None of it is like atrocious. Like none of it, I don't know. Nothing about this knife is dangerous to use. Nothing about this knife is like going to cause a failure that I would say like it's unsafe or you shouldn't have one. Like if you want to own one of these, who am I to tell you how to spend your money? That's kind of the way I feel about a lot of gear that I'm not really behind. But I can't imagine ever wanting one of these for myself. It's so far outside of my realm of what I look for, what I appreciate, what I like, my philosophy of use for a folding knife. Like it's beyond me. Anyway, sorry for being so mean, Kyle and Greg Medford. But that's my first impressions of the 187 DP. And like I said, this one's a DLT Trading exclusive for whatever that's worth. But there it is.